Hello and welcome to the Film School Snobs. I'm Alexander Zapeta,
And I'm Jalen Michael.
and this is now our 10th episode. Woohoo!
Yay.
Yeah, we made it to 10 episodes. We made it this far. Up next is 50, and then 100, and then
Oof.
1,000. We're gonna keep
Uh,
going.
yeah,
We're,
man.
we're gonna make this. We're gonna be internet famous.
hmm
Jalen,
Eventually.
how's your week been going?
It's been pretty well. It's very hot weather. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to the movies more times than often this week. So just
Mm-hmm.
for that free AC. But
Facts.
how about you?
I don't know. My week's been pretty good. Yeah, it's been extremely hot, especially since like I walk places, like especially to work. I walk to work,
Yeah.
and so I'm walking like five to 10 minutes in the seat, and like oof,
Eh,
it's exhausting.
You're all sweaty by the time you get to work. I'm the same way.
Yeah. It's terrible, but oh well. I'll survive. It's better than the cold. I'll take this over the cold any day.
Yeah,
I think
no.
we've had discussion, but
Nah, I'm a heat person more than the winter time, so
yeah,
it's fine.
yeah. So speaking of heat, let's talk about a movie that takes place in Africa, a really hot place.
Mhm.
The Lion King. Now I saw the remake this weekend. Jalen didn't get a chance to see it yet. But you are seeing it soon. Like he'll post a review on his letterbox.
hmm
So this will just be me complaining about Disney remakes and reboots.
Let's hear it.
Um, so I went to Lion King expecting to hate it. Because I was just like, I wasn't when I first heard about it. I'm like, okay, it's Jon Favreau. He might turn out something that's decent. And then like the first trailer dropped, and like it's just a recreation of the opening scene. And I'm
hmm
like, okay, my hopes are a bit low now, but maybe Jon Favreau can still do something good with this.
Right.
And then like the more trailers I saw, the more they're just like trying to do famous Lion King iconography just in photorealism.
hmm
And I just wasn't on board with it. And so when I went in to go see the movie, I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna hate this. And then I got out of the theater, I'm like, I don't hate it, but I still wouldn't call it a good movie.
Okay.
Just like my main problem with The Lion King, which I've said this multiple times on here, but like the whole issue of like taking it from 2D animation to photorealism is that you're stripping away all the expressiveness of the characters in the original film.
Right.
One of the biggest examples for me is what's his name? Is it Zuzu or Zazu?
I
Zaz.
believe it's Zazu.
Yeah. So you have John Oliver giving this like really comedic performance, because John Oliver's a funny dude.
Right.
And so like he's like giving this really comedic performance, and yet the beat just opens up and down, up and down, up and down. And just like if you look at the way Zazu moved in the original, like even the way he was designed, like he had these like really big eyes, and like he was just like
hmm
really acting like he was better than everyone in terms of like his body language.
Right.
And a lot of that added like the comedic elements of his character. But
hmm
with this, you just have like an actual bird talking with John Oliver's voice coming out, and
Uh,
a lot of it just doesn't work. Like a lot of these actors give like really good voice performances,
hmm
but because of like how limited the characters are, you're just not into it. One of the biggest examples for me is the death of Mufasa. Spoiler alert, by the
mm.
way. Like we all grew up
you
on that
you
stuff.
better have seen it.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Like, but when like so if you look at the 2D animated version and you look at the death of Mufasa, because they do the whole scene beat for beat, shot for shot.
Okay.
And so, you get, Mufasa's climbing up the rocks. He's like, Scar, help me. And then you get a close up of Mufasa's face. You see like the fear in his eyes, and then you get a close up of Scar's face, and you just see like he's planning something really bad. And then like he
Right.
throws Mufasa off the cliff, and it's like the same shot of Simba shouting, and like the camera like zooms out.
hmm
But the difference between the original and the photorealistic remake, it's technically they want us to call it live action, but like it's technically animated, but
Yeah.
whatever. Um, because like they're making it so photorealistic and like it's like actual lines, like these these animals barely emote,
hmm
and either from their body language or from like their facial expressions, you just don't feel any of the emotions. Because, like
Right.
I said, they do a lot of the same things beat for beat, and I should be feeling these powerful emotional moments, but because these animals aren't emoting at all, I just don't feel anything.
Okay.
And so that's just like my biggest issue with this. And then like you get the musical numbers, where
hmm
as in the original, like they'll dance and then like they'll like just like with musicals, like like get kind of surreal, and then they like move to a completely different realm and like just like start dancing around, like all these weird things would happen.
Right.
With this, because it's photorealistic, you can't really do that in a live action movie.
hmm
The animals just run around and sing, and it's just like, well, this is kind of boring. Like anyone
yeah.
can run and sing. Like I want to see animals dancing.
hmm
And the Jungle Book did a really good job of like avoiding this. Like the only time it really failed is when they had King Louis saying "I want to be like you."
Yeah,
But for the most part, they avoided a lot of the musical numbers, and they had the bare necessities, but like that wasn't a full out musical number. That was just like two dudes just like singing the song.
right.
And Jungle Book is like 10 times better because I feel like the main difference between Jungle Book and Lion King is that the original Jungle Book movie is kind of bland, and
Yeah,
so John Favreau took that movie and he added more depth to it. And like nothing about the animation really stood out, so making it photorealistic like didn't take anything away from it.
yeah.
Whereas with the like Lion King is like a pinnacle of animation. Like it was like one of the biggest parts of like Disney Renaissance in the 90s. And
Hmm.
then if you just strip away all the expressiveness of that movie, it's just really boring.
I think also on top of that, with like the Jungle Book, you have Mowgli, so he's like supposed to ground us with the whole live action aspect of it.
Hmm.
And here it's yeah, fully CGI animals, which I guess to take that approach of wanting to make this look as realistic as possible, then yeah, you have to lose that expressiveness because they kind of like shot themselves in the foot, it seems like, because you go
Right.
for the realistic approach, then you kind of lose all the charm out of the original. So it's
Mm.
disappointing to hear.
And it's really interesting too because I've seen the Broadway play, the Lion King Broadway play,
Yeah, same.
and it's with like actual people in costumes and stuff. And I just
Hmm.
remember I was watching it with my family and I'm like sitting next to my mom. Like during the intermission, I was like, "Oh, what do you think so far?" I'm like, "Yeah, I really dig it." And like the one thing that like really stood out to me is like the actor who played Scar. I don't know the actor's name, but whoever you are, kudos to you. Because like just like the way he moved, like he was like slimy and slithery, and even
Mm,
you even saw that in the 2D animation. In this one, Scar's just like a lion, and I wouldn't
yeah,
mind so much if they didn't like have the same dialogue as in the first movie.
yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. So
um,
Lion King, like it's visually impressive. It's like wow, they created photorealistic animals, but at the same time, you're sacrificing a whole lot in order to do this. And so, honestly, your money's better off. You're better off saving money by just staying home and watching the original. If you have it on Blu-ray, you have it downloaded or whatever, just watch it because it's 10 times better. That's what I did when I got home. I watched the original.
yeah, yeah. I just actually because it was on sale on iTunes for like $15, so I bought it and I was watching it with my brothers, and it still holds up to this day. So
Mhm. Yeah, it's so iconic. Like, there's so many like iconic shots in that movie. Like there's just like everybody knows like like the opening
mm,
na
mm.
samanya. Like everybody knows that. Like Mufasa's death was like one of the most emotional moments of cinema in general.
Yeah.
And so just like you're gonna have to do something really different in order to like remake it and like still make it interesting.
All right. So let me ask you this: like, is was there anything new that they added that differs it from the original, or is it just straight shot for shot?
It's a lot of minor things.
Mm,
Like a lot of like different jokes. Like one of the things I did really like about the movie is like their how like they got kind of meta with Hakuna Matata, where it's like,
mm.
oh, everybody likes it when we play this song.
Uh,
So like that was pretty funny. Like Timon and Pumbaa are like definitely the highlights. Like they get some really interesting jokes.
and they're played by Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. And then like I said, just like a lot of minor things. Not anything that like really impacts the story in any meaningful way.
Mm. And how about the soundtrack? Because I know you got Donald Glover and Beyonce here.
Oh yeah.
I assuming that should be like the biggest highlight to get
Oh yeah,
people to
no.
buy tickets.
They were extremely good when it came to like singing and like their vocal performances. I was like really impressed with their singing talent. I mean, of course, it's Beyonce and Donald Glover. Like they're really
Yeah,
great musicians. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the deadline right now, and yeah, they're predicting a up to $200 million opening weekend for this, which
of course.
yeah, that's kind of crazy because I think this is like the only movie with like a rotten tomato score, a rotten score that opened that high. But
Hmm.
I guess it just goes to show, and plus it has a cinema score, so I guess Disney they know their audiences, where it's like for people like us and film critics who are like viewing films with more critical eyes, we're gonna
Hmm.
complain about stuff like this. But for the general audience, I guess that's exactly what they want to see is just the Lion King, which is
Yeah.
understandable. It's a crowd pleasing movie, but
Mm.
I'm not really jumping at excitement to sit down and watch it at the moment.
Yeah. It's just really depressing because I remember walking out the theater, or just like even sitting in the theater. Like there was this couple sitting next to me,
Mm,
and like they're like, "Oh, look at Simba, he's so cute. Oh man, I remember this, I remember that."
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like like it's just really depressing because like Disney is like literally like taking I mean they're taking like the easiest way possible in terms of storytelling, in terms of like filmmaking and like visual effects. Like
Yeah,
this is really impressive,
of course.
but in terms of storytelling, it's literally the same story beat for beat. And so
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh wow, this is so cool! It's my childhood all over again." Yeah,
Mm,
that's kind of the point. That's
yeah.
how they're ripping you off.
So I guess we could talk about this then. I mean, obviously the whole big thing is, well, don't remake movies.
Mm.
But, if you're going to remake movies, should you go shot for shot, make the same thing? Or should you risk doing taking different routes but risk messing it up? Because I think like you could probably get away with if you mixed around the Jungle Book or even Aladdin. Like I know Aladdin still it was a popular movie in the Disney Renaissance, but I don't think it really held up to Lion King, in my opinion, at least. Like the Lion
Mm.
King is like the holy Bible for a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
So I don't know. How do you think? Like, you think they should have risked like telling a different story with this, or
100%.
okay?
100%. Because honestly, if I wanted to watch the same thing over again, I'll just stay home and watch the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And like I feel like the only time you should remake something is if it's either like really dated and like there's a way you can update it, or if you have a really interesting take on the story itself.
Mm,
Because otherwise there's just no point in remaking it. And I remember that's just like but when I put that out there in the world, like I said, like there's no point behind this remake. And
yeah.
everyone's like, oh, but it's the greatest movie ever. How can you touch it? How can you remake it? Then you
Hmm.
don't. Plain and simple. I mean,
Yeah.
financially speaking, for Disney executives, like, yeah, they're pretty excited about this. They see this as a big opportunity. But just artistically speaking, if this is already one of the greatest movies ever made, and like you can't touch it, then why would you even bother?
Yeah. And I guess the simple answer to that is just we want to make money, but
Hmm.
it is kind of depressing. But I mean, at the same time, I guess the people who like this, they're gonna flock to see it. But then
Definitely.
it's not gonna really change much, anyways. But
Hmm.
then on top of that, we still have the sequels to worry about too, because good and well they're gonna adapt the sequels to these movies next. So
Really? Because I do know they made sequels. Like I remember watching like Lion King 1.5 with like Simone and Pumbaa and stuff
mm,
when I was a kid.
hmm.
Um, I don't think I've ever seen like the second or third movie. But do you think
Yeah.
they're popular enough to make sequels out of? Like that people
Oh
would
yeah.
still like flock to them?
Oh yeah. Like I think that was Disney's whole plan. Because if you remember back with Alice in Wonderland, that came out in 2010, and then
Mm,
they made the Ghost of the Looking Glass like 6 years later. And then
mm.
I think they're doing the same thing with Maleficent. They announced Jungle Book 2 is coming out. So I think Disney's little Comic Con thing, well, like I guess they call it D23 that they do every 2 years.
Mm.
It's supposed to happen next month. You're gonna see a bunch of announcements: Aladdin 2, Lion King 2. You can mark my words. I'm willing to put money. Like this is Disney's whole plan is just keep remaking uh, all their whole catalog here.
Yeah,
Which I
it's
think,
sad.
oh, I would say like for their sequels, because like you said, their sequels aren't popular enough, so that probably maybe justifies remaking and to make it better. But you know,
Mm.
I'm not really interested in seeing a lot of these movies anymore.
Yeah. Just real quick, you brought up how they're making Maleficent 2, which I completely forgot they were making.
Yeah,
I never saw the first one, but I saw the trailer
same.
before Lion King, and I'm so confused. Like, isn't Maleficent the bad guy? Why is she Sleeping Beauty's mom? And then
I
like,
think that always happen.
oh no, keep going.
Oh no, well I haven't seen the original myself, but I know it got a lot of praise because it tells the story of Sleeping Beauty, but from the perspective of the witch Maleficent.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's given her like a different perspective of like, well, I'm not actually a bad guy per se. I was just misunderstood, at least
Mm,
from what I was understanding from it. But
yeah, but I don't know. This movie looks like really weird, but also like kind of cool.
yeah,
Um, so I don't know, maybe I'll watch the first one, then maybe check this one out. But like just like you have like Maleficent, she's like this evil fairy, and then like they have like all these like weird mystical magical creatures and stuff, and like they're having like big battles. I'm like, not gonna lie, that might be kind of fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
it seems interesting.
yeah, and Mulan looks cool too. I'm really excited for Mulan. They're
Oh
actually
yeah,
like trying something different.
yeah, making it a Chinese war epic.
Mm. Yeah, because like I don't think they're gonna have like any of the musical numbers. Mushu wasn't in it at all.
Yeah.
Like they're going for something different. And I have a feeling people are still gonna be excited for it because I remember watching Lion King, like Mulan came up, and like a lot of people out there like, oh, Mulan, that was like one of my favorite movies growing up.
Yeah.
And so who knows? It might still, remain popular and still make money.
I'm sure it will.
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah. So that's my Lion King review. I dislike it. I didn't hate it as much as I expected, but it it could have tried for something better.
Okay.
Um, so from there, let's talk about Comic Con.
Comic
Um,
Con.
so keep in mind we're recording this Saturday morning,
Yeah.
before Marvel releases like any of their stuff.
Yeah. That's like
Um,
the only thing I'm excited for, honestly.
yeah, so we're not gonna be able to talk about any of the Marvel things, any of the Marvel trailers or news that have been released. But follow us on our social media. Follow me on Twitter, Jedi Master Alex, and Jalen Michael, J Mike. What's the number again?
127 or 172. I still haven't figured it out.
Okay, so it's one of those numbers, and we'll talk about it on our social media. Um, but so far we've got a couple interesting trailers.
hmm
The first one I want to talk about is The Witcher.
Okay.
Now, Jalen, have you ever played any of the Witcher games or read the books?
I played part of Witcher 3,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a complete noob and casual when it comes into the whole world. So I'll let you take the reins for this one.
Oh no, I'm the same way.
Oh, really?
I was hoping you would have played more Witcher, but okay. Yeah, I played like the first 10, no, first 5% of Witcher 3. That's a big game.
Yeah,
It kind of overwhelmingly big.
yeah,
Um, I've always wanted to read the books because I'm a huge fantasy nerd. I love like medieval stuff, swords, knights, wizards, dragons. I'm all about that stuff.
yeah.
Um, and so the prospect of a Witcher TV series really interests me, especially after Game of Thrones, because now everybody's jumping on the fantasy
Okay.
bandwagon. You got HBO producing Game of Thrones prequels. You got Amazon doing a Lord of the Rings prequel, and they're adapting The Wheel of Time, which I've never read, but I'm hoping to read pretty soon.
Okay.
Um, and so it just like now we're in an age where like now like movies are done with the fantasy. Like after Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, like they're done.
Yeah.
But it's like now it's proving it's like taking more of an interest in TV.
Mm,
So I can see a lot of people like getting behind Witcher. Maybe Wheel of Time. From what I've heard, it's not exactly like it. It's like if everyone's gonna be looking for like the Game of Thrones substitute, where it's like it's really dark and brooding. I don't know if like Wheel of Time or Witcher is gonna be as dark as Game of Thrones, but who
right.
knows? It might give them what they want.
Yeah. And I wanted to go back to the point that you were saying about like the movies being done with fantasy. 'Cause I think that is a great point. Me personally, I've never been and I think we talked about this before. I'm not a big fantasy guy, like the whole medieval knights and dragons and stuff. That never really interested me,
Mm,
except for Harry Potter, just because it was the high school element of it. I just recently got into Game of Thrones earlier this year, and I was able to catch up for the disappointing finale. But yes, I'm kind of slowly taking an interest in it. But I think what works more for a TV show rather than a movie is that these worlds are large and huge, and there's so much lore into them. So you'll have more time with episodes, more time to develop all that, rather than a 2-hour movie that goes by very quickly.
oh yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a very great call for Netflix here to actually adapt this here.
Mm,
Just at least for my minimum time playing The Witcher, it like you said, it's overwhelming, and I think there's a lot that they could do here to tell a decent story.
oh yeah. So what are your thoughts on the trailer in general?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good trailer. Henry Cavill, for as much crap people talk about him, I think he's still a very talented actor.
Mm.
And he definitely has like great screen presence. Shoot, I forgot the guy's name. Is it Geraldo? What's his
Gerald,
name? Oh, Gerald.
Gerald, Gerald, something like that. Yeah.
We'll just call him G for now. But yeah, I thought he got the look down. I think he got the presence down.
Mm,
Um, and it's Netflix, so their production budget is not going to be cheap. It
mm,
it looks very very high class here. So even though I'm not like big into the Witcher world, it definitely got me very interested in checking this out.
mm. Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like, I thought it was a pretty good trailer. Nothing like mind blowing for me personally, but
Yeah,
I'm interested in seeing like Henry Cavill in this role. I really loved him in Mission Impossible. Like, he showed
yeah.
like his acting talent in that.
hmm
And even as Superman, like the writing really let him down. But like, I thought he was, if like he had the chance to, he would have made for a really great Superman.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, overall, I'm just I want my fantasy feel after Game of Thrones. I've been like reading fantasy books nonstop since that show ended because like the TV movies haven't satisfied my need for it. Then like they're just now touching on TV.
Yeah,
So I'm looking forward to like monster fighting and like politics and medieval politics and stuff.
yeah,
This looks like an entertaining show. I'll definitely check it out.
yeah. Looking forward to it.
So speaking of more fantasy stuff that was released this week,
Hmm.
we have His Dark Materials. Jalen, have you ever read the books or seen the movie that came out in 2009?
Nope.
Like,
Know nothing about this whatsoever.
same here. I know a little bit because I've heard a bit about it. And from what I know about the books, it's like mainly like a criticism on Christianity and like religion as a whole.
Mm.
And it has polar bears and armor fighting. So it sounds pretty rad.
Yeah, that actually does sound pretty interesting now.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to see the trailer?
Yeah, well, I was actually just skimming through it before we started, and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, once again, it looks very expensive looking.
Mhm.
uh, yeah, very high production value into it. Large sets, very the visuals are very mesmerizing so far. So probably something I won't be checking out as soon as it comes out, but eventually I'll probably get into it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. The cast looks really good. They have like James McAvoy, Daphne Keane, who's like she's finally in
Oh
something
yeah,
after Logan because she was so
yeah,
good
yeah.
in Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Then Manuel Miranda. It's interesting to see him take on such a serious role. I don't even think I've even seen him act a whole lot except for like Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh
And
yeah,
like
it's
I know,
Amy's brother.
yeah, and like I know he's in Hamilton. He composes a lot of music.
Yeah,
He composed the music for like Moana, and like I really enjoy Moana.
yeah.
But yeah, no, like so far this seems like a pretty interesting show. And maybe I'll check it out if I have the time.
Yeah. You said it was a book series?
Yeah, it was like $3.
Okay.
Yeah, and the whole premise is like the main character, she's like a reincarnation of Eve, like the original Adam and Eve and stuff.
Mm.
And then there's fighting polar bears and like a golden compass. I don't know much about it honestly. I've heard good things, so
Right.
hopefully the show lives up.
Yeah. I mean, from what it seems like, after Game of Thrones, then HBO is just like, all right, well, we got our next fantasy series here, so let's just keep pumping them out.
Yep,
Shoot, it might actually surpass Game of Thrones. You never know.
maybe. So from there, let's talk about Top Gun Maverick. Now, I have yet to see the first Top Gun, but like I know about like all the homoeroticism and like the love of the military. Jalen, you have seen the first Top Gun,
Hmm.
and so as someone who's seen the first Top Gun and have you seen the trailer yet?
Yeah, I saw the trailer.
So what are your thoughts on the trailer? I'm gonna let you take this
Uh,
away.
all right, well, I guess here's the thing about me. I'm one of the few weirdos who actually doesn't really care for Top Gun like that. Uh, it's one of my dad's favorite movies. For me, it's just like, it's enjoyable, but I don't really like watching it at all. This trailer, though, it actually did. It might be another Blade Runner situation where I wasn't too hot on the first one, but then the sequel came out and I actually loved it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, with this trailer here, it's another one of those. Oh, 30 years later, after the original, we have our characters all grown up, and now we're moving on to the new generation. Uh, and usually those only work out so well. Looking at you, Independence Day Resurgence, you piece
Hmm.
of garbage. Uh, but this one we actually do have some talent behind it. Once again, Tom Cruise, he always gives it his 110%. And I think he actually, the reason this movie was delayed, I think they said he was learning how to fly fighter jets, actually. So
Hmm.
that just
As
goes,
Tom Cruise does.
yeah, like this man just puts 110% into everything. So yeah, props to you. Um, yeah, it's a decent trailer. I also thought it was very interesting that they didn't show Miles Teller's character in this at all.
Hmm.
Because I think he's actually, yeah, he's shoot, I forget, he's somebody's son. I believe Goose's son,
Hmm.
and he's supposed to be like a main part of the story, but I don't recall seeing him in this trailer at all. So it was very interesting to hide him away from that. But
Yeah.
yeah, overall, it looks like it's gonna be a pretty entertaining blockbuster next summer. So
Hmm.
overall, good trailer. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's just interesting because like at this point in Tom Cruise's career, every single one of like Tom Cruise's movies have been like has been a commentary on his career and like just how
Yeah.
crazy he is.
Hmm.
You know, because like it starts off like, oh, 30 years, you've done this, you've done that, and you still haven't been promoted. And yeah, I know the same thing as Tom Cruise. 30 years, he's still doing like the same things he's always been doing.
Hmm.
He's proved himself as like a really talented actor, really talented stuntman, and hasn't gotten like a whole lot of like Academy recognition that like, I think he deserves.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm really interested in seeing how this continues a series of Tom Cruise movies that have a commentary on Tom Cruise movies.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I'm actually surprised too, because I think yeah he doesn't have many Academy Awards recognitions, and he still have yet to have a movie hit $1 billion at the box office, which could have sworn like one of the Mission Impossibles would have done that by now. But
mhm,
that's unfortunate. But
yeah. I mean, Tom Cruise, he's such a weirdo. But I respect him so much as an actor because
Mhm.
like no other actor except for like maybe Keanu Reeves like puts as much as Tom Cruise does into
Yeah.
like his
Right.
movies.
Mhm.
I remember like I remember hearing like during one of the scenes of Mission Impossible Fallout, the bike chase in Paris.
Yeah.
Like none of like the safety precautions were set up yet, and like they were way behind schedule. Like Tom Cruise just went up to the director. He's like, "Listen, show's got to go on. I'm doing
Mhm.
this." So he did that entire scene. He could have died, but he
Mhm.
didn't because he's Tom Cruise and he knows what he's doing. So I just like have utter respect for the guy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Paramount's kind of like pissed off with this guy. It's like, listen, man, you're causing our insurance to skyrocket through the roof now. You
Oh,
need to
he's
chill
fired
out.
insurance companies
Yeah.
because like I remember mostly hearing because like he produces all the Mission Impossible movies. Like he's in charge of all of them.
Yeah.
And so in Ghost Protocol, when he wants to like climb the Burj Khalifa, the
Mhm.
insurance company said no, we're not going to insure that. You can't do it. And so Tom Cruise went up to Brad Pitt. He's like, fire them. I want them gone. I'm going to climb this building. I don't care what they say. And so they got a new insurance company that allowed it to happen.
Listen, man, this guy's nuts, but I love him.
Oh yeah. And the worst he's ever gotten is like in terms of like Mission Impossible movies, like the worst he's ever gotten is like a broken ankle.
Oh yeah, and they kept that scene in the movie too.
Oh yeah. And it's just
Script.
like yeah, it adds to like the intensity of like that scene. I'm like, wow, like they put in so much effort into that movie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Such a great movie.
And,
Speaking.
I'm really glad to hear that like Tom Cruise is like, he's learning how to like fly fighter jets now. As
Hmm.
always, he's putting his 110% into it.
Yeah,
So, I'll check out the first Top Gun and I'll definitely be watching this one in theaters.
yeah, and also last thing too is Christopher McQuarrie. That's Tom Cruise's boy now. They work on everything together. He actually has a writing credit for here,
Mm.
so
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
that's definitely very encouraging.
Yes, it is. So from there, let's talk about the Terminator Dark Fate. They released a featurette. Jalen, you said you didn't watch this one, right?
Yeah, I'm actually skimming through it now.
Okay.
Just looking at the behind the scenes stuff. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So they got Tim Miller from Deadpool to direct, which I wasn't the biggest fan of.
Hmm.
Um like Deadpool's an okay movie, but it's also very bland. And
Yeah.
so like Tim Miller's like one of those like directors for hire guy. Where it's just like, get him to make the movie and then he'll move on to like whatever project's next.
Hmm.
I've been totally against Terminator sequels forever. Ever since I watched T2 for the first time.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about the Terminator movies. Terminator 2 is the perfect ending, and no matter what you do, you're like retconning that ending, which is like solidifies like the main themes of the Terminator movies,
Right.
which is your future is in your control. You can change the future. And so by having like more Terminators pop up, like no, they didn't change the future. Judgment Day is going to happen no matter what,
Yeah.
and it's kind of infuriating. And not only that, like I'll forgive it more if the movies are actually good. Like like same thing like Toy Story, where like Toy Story 3 was like the perfect ending. They didn't
Hmm.
have to make Toy Story 4, but they made it, and it was pretty great.
Yeah.
T3 sucks. I haven't watched Terminator Salvation since I was a kid. I don't wish to revisit it.
Same.
Um,
Same.
and Terminator Genesis was garbage.
Hate it.
And Terminator Dark Fate looks so bland. And I'm not looking forward to this one bit. I don't care if you put in Linda Hamilton or Arnold Schwarzenegger or Edward Furlong. I don't care. I don't. Just please, just like stop, please. James Cameron, what are you doing? Make it end.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Terminator. I guess just like you, Terminator. I haven't enjoyed since T2. Like it's literally Terminator and Terminator 2 is the only ones I actually like.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, T3, the whole stupid thing with the female robot. I don't even remember much from it. I just remember I hated it.
Yeah, there's
And
just like a lot of like really dumb jokes in there. Like I don't know, like walking naked's like into a
yeah,
yeah, I think it was like a male strip club. And then like the TX like she saw a billboard with like bigger breasts and like she saw a cop
hmm
coming up so she made her breast bigger. I'm like, what
hmm
the heck is this?
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything else after that, like it's never really not even matched the first two Terminators, but it's not even nearly as good as those first two movies.
Mm.
And yeah, same with you with this one. I remember the first trailer came out and it did nothing for me. I was like, all right, you guys could have actually had a better shot if you released it in the summer, because then I feel like I would be obligated to see it just for
Mm.
the summer blockbuster season. But it's coming out in November. It's like I'll just wait for Star Wars at that point.
Mhm.
I'm not really interested in this. Um, and yeah, I'm looking at the behind the scenes stuff now, the featurette. It looks like they got some cool production going on here,
Mm.
but and cool choreography it seems like, and it's always fun. Oh, that's the one thing I would say with Terminator Genesis. Hated the movie, and it actually made me hate Amelia Clark for a while before I saw Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
But Arnold Schwarzenegger, I actually really did enjoy him in that. He's
Oh yeah.
definitely the one having the most fun with it. And
Mm.
yeah, looking at this now, it seems like he's still just having a ball, but it's not enough to make me actually want to go see it. So meh.
Yeah, like I don't care how, even if this was like a really impressive trailer, I would still be like extremely trepidatious because the Terminator franchise has not had a good rapport with audiences in a very long time.
hmm
It just like honestly, like the last Terminator Genesis bombed, so I don't know why any studio would say, "Oh yeah, let's make more of these." I don't think anyone's really interested in this new one. So just cut your losses. Just stop with Terminator movies, please.
I think this is also Paramount, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're really just fiending for that franchise because all they really have is Mission Impossible and I guess now
Mm-hmm.
Top Gun, but everything else. Oh well, no, they have Dora now, so that's an easy $1 billion movie right there.
Dora, Dora, Dora the Explorer. That looks so stupid.
It's gonna make $100 billion in its opening weekend and $1 billion worldwide. You mark my words.
Yep.
Nah, but yeah, I guess they're really just trying to catch up to Warner Brothers and Disney, but yeah, they're not really going about it the right way with these franchises. They just look so dull.
Yeah. So yeah, Terminator Dark Fate looks really disappointing. Um, from there, let's move on to the It Chapter 2 trailer.
Mhm.
Um, I am of the unpopular opinion that the first It movie, not the first one, the 2017 one, is not a good
Mhm.
movie.
Boo
Um,
this man.
I know. I'm sorry. I remember like everyone was so hyped about it. I saw the trailers. I'm like, I don't know, this looks okay, I guess. And
Mhm.
then I saw the actual movie and like it was less than like what everyone promised. Like they're like, "Oh, it's so scary. Oh, I love these
Yeah.
characters." It's not scary at all. Character development was kind of weak. Jalen, tell me why I'm wrong.
Nah, I actually agree with you for the most part. It's not really a scary movie, and the characters. And I've actually read the book when I was younger. Uh, and I actually, yeah, I don't remember the characters being all that special in it either. But I guess for me, what made me like it and enjoy it was just how fun it was and how much they got right. Um, I'm still a big fan of the Tim Curry ones, but you look at it, it's goofy. Like that whole mini series, it's dumb.
Waha, waha, waha.
Give me a kiss, fat boy. It's like it's hilarious, but it's dumb. And
Oh yeah.
so I think with the first It or the 2017 It rather, yeah, they definitely took it more serious. Put more production value to it. It's such a crisp and clean movie, just the way it's filmed.
Mm,
I can't say for a lot of horror movies. A lot of them are very shoddy looking. Uh, it actually looked like a blockbuster movie, and it felt like it too. And it's just a fun, enjoyable movie. So then you're coming up to It Chapter 2 now, and it's telling the other part of the book where it focuses on their adult lives, with Pennywise coming back about 27 years later. Uh, and yeah, I'm still excited for it. It looks pretty good to me.
mm. Yeah, I'll say this latest one, because the first trailer didn't impress me all that much. But this latest one, like, it looked like really impressive.
Yeah.
It looks scarier than the original, because like there's nothing but jump scares, and it's like Pennywise jumping out like bugga, bugga, bugga. And it's like I would prefer like more suspense, not just like some clown jumping out every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But like I thought this trailer, like in terms like in terms of like the production design, was really good. Like I love the way Pennywise looks. Like the
Yeah.
combination of like practical effects and CGI is like really well done.
Mhm.
And the actor whose name I forget, he gives like
Bill
a really great
Skarsgård.
performance. Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gives a really great performance. And yeah, this looks okay. I'll definitely be checking it out for the podcast. And hopefully I like this one more than the first.
Yeah, I hope so. I'll tell you this though. At least in my opinion, and well, I guess you didn't like the kids part, but for me, I enjoyed the kids part way more than the adult part. Uh, and from what it looks like in the trailer here, it looks like they actually are going to go the more cosmic route, which I wasn't a big fan of in the book either.
Hmm.
But I think since you didn't like the kids portion either, I guess we'll probably end up doing the flip flop here. So you might
Hmm.
actually will enjoy this one more.
We'll see. I know the whole thing with like Stephen King, like his books, like they're all like interconnected.
Hmm.
So like it ties into like all these other books and stuff. Like even like it ties into like Shawshank, not like it specifically, but like Shawshank Redemption, like Green Mile ties into like all these like supernatural stories.
Yeah.
And so I just find that really interesting. And then like it all comes together in like the Dark Tower,
Mm.
and like you see like everything from like The Shining to it, like all of it just like thrown into the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
Which I haven't read the entirety of the first book yet. I've read like the first 100 pages. I really liked it, and then like I just stopped for some reason.
Oh,
Because I'm a movie buff, not a book buff. It's hard for
yeah.
me to read.
Right.
I'm picking up on it more lately. I'm going to talk about book again later on. Um, but yeah, so I'm interested in seeing it, especially like the cosmic side, because I thought it was just like a normal like paranormal demon, whatever. Like no,
Yeah.
now it's like a space clown.
Hmm.
Okay, this sounds cool.
It's like a space entity. They just call it it.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, might enjoy that more. And I will say, I do like the cast that they picked here. I'm not gonna. I don't really know everybody's names here, but I know they got James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain,
Mhm.
Bill Hader. So yeah, I'm liking this cast a lot here. So high hopes for this movie here.
Yep. And then we got two more trailers to talk about. We're gonna save the best for last. Um, so let's talk about Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Have you seen how many Kevin Smith movies have you seen? 'Cause I've only
Uh,
seen two.
I've seen Clerks. I don't think I've seen the. How many Jay and Silent Bob movies are there? Two? But I
Just
didn't.
one.
Oh, just one? Yes, I
Like
didn't see that
they're in a lot of like Kevin Smith's movies, but like they only got like one like standalone
one
movie.
movie. Okay, so yeah, I didn't see any of the ones that they're in. Well, maybe I did. But then I saw the last one he did, Yoga Hosers.
Oh
I
yeah.
absolutely hated that one. So yeah, I'm a Kevin Smith noob and kind of a hater against him on his latest stuff. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I've seen Clerks, which is like really enjoyable.
Hmm.
It's flawed, like it's his first movie, so there, like I have like some leniency,
Yeah.
but just like it's like really well written dialogue, and I thought it was just like really enjoyable. And then I saw Chasing Amy, which is really good, like really well written dialogue. His filmmaking is like kind of subpar,
Yeah.
but like his writing and his dialogue is really good.
Yeah.
And he touches like on some interesting topics on that, which is like kind of like ahead of its time, which is really interesting. So this Jay and Silent Bob reboot. The trailer for it looks okay so far.
Yeah.
Like a lot of jokes have me laughing. Um, I think Silent Bob talks a lot more in this than he usually does in the trailer, at least, because I know like in the first in Clerks and in Chasing Amy, he's
Mm-hmm.
silent for like the majority of the movie, and like he comes out and says like one really wise thing, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's mostly like Jay doing all the speaking.
Right. Right.
This is coming from someone who like really hasn't seen a lot of his movies, so I don't know if he speaks more like in their solo movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, this looks pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I think so. Nothing in the trailer like made me laugh out loud, but yeah, it seems like one of those dumb road trip type movies. That's extremely meta.
Mm,
Has a commentary on the state of Hollywood now. I think that's pretty interesting. The one
yeah.
thing I'm not too big a fan of so far already is the whole "oh, Silent Bob, this is your daughter" type thing.
Mm.
I don't know, man. Because
That's been
that's
done to death.
yeah, and plus you got Kevin Smith's daughter there, who she was one of the stars in Yoga Hosers,
Mm.
and I'm not trying to talk smack about her because I'm sure she's a way better actress than me, but I just find her very unlikable in the movies.
Mm.
Uh, well, in that movie at least, and in this trailer, she's not really doing anything for me now. And
Mm.
so, yeah, this whole storyline that they got going on here might drag down the movie for me, but I don't know, I'm still interested in watching it just for the jokes.
Oh yeah. Like I'll probably be watching like more of his movies before this one comes out. I'll like probably watch the original Jay and Silent Bob. But
Same.
yeah, this looks decent. Looks all right.
Yeah, there are a lot of people in here too for the cast. I
Oh
saw.
yeah. Well, it's all his like childhood friends from like when he was like first making movies and stuff, and like now they've grown on to like become bigger actors and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see how it does.
Yeah. So I guess we've got into that movie now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the greatest movie trailer of all time.
Let's talk about cats and how weird that looks. You want to talk about something that you want to talk about like weird live action adaptations. I remember Steven Spielberg was like talking about making an animated version way back when.
hmm
And honestly, looking at this trailer, that would have been 10 times better.
Did you see the concept part that they had?
I saw some of it. Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Uh, this doesn't.
Yeah, no, it doesn't at all. It's nightmare inducing. Like the sets look really nice. Like the fur on the cats look really good, I guess. But where you really get the uncanny valley feeling is with the actors' faces on the cats.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I feel like before the criticism against Lion King and the animals not emoting in the faces, Universal jumped on that opportunity and said, "Oh, we're gonna do the exact opposite then." It's like, nah, you shouldn't have.
Yeah, they really shouldn't have. You have Tim Hooper directing, who did The King's Speech and Les Miserables, and I think The Danish Girl too.
Mm.
King's Speech I've seen some of, and like in a high school class, I thought it was okay. I haven't seen these other two movies. I really don't care to. They look like Oscar bait trash.
Well, the Danish Girl is actually pretty good. I like.
Hmm. Yeah. Man, just like imagine like this playing in front of like, because like, are they gonna market this kids? Is this kid friendly?
Well, I'll say this: like, I've never seen the Cats musical at all, nor have I read the book that it's based off of. So I don't know anything about it except for a few of the songs that's popular in culture. But yeah, from what this trailer looks like, it seems like it. I mean, they marketed it for Christmas time, so it seems like they're trying to get families to come see it. But I don't know, like, who's actually what kid's gonna be like, "Ooh, I want to see Cats. It looks so cool."
Yeah.
No.
And like they got a pretty interesting cast of like singers and comedians. Like they have like James Corden, who looks like the fat cat in the hat. Um, Rebecca, what's her name? Wilson?
Who is that? Oh,
No,
Rebel Wilson.
Rebecca Wilson. There you go.
Okay,
That's her name.
yeah,
Like she's like doing the dance. Like she looks the weirdest out of all of them.
yeah,
Um, then you have like Judy Dench. Jennifer Hudson. Like her face does not work well on a cat.
not at all.
Um, oof, that's
None of them do, honestly, but
yeah.
that was
Like
the one that stood out.
definitely her and Judy Dench's face. Like those stand out the most. Idris Elba's the one that looks like the most decent, I think.
Oh, really? He was the one that I actually didn't like at all.
Really? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're like trying to make him look good looking. He, from what saw in the trailer, like it seemed like he's like kind of like supposed to be the ugly cat, maybe. And for that, like it looked okay, I guess. Um, but like keep in mind, like that's still a pretty low bar. Um, None of these faces look great. Like it's what have you done here?
Yeah, and I mean, you were talking about earlier, like there are some good stuff that I actually do like about the chair. Like you were saying, like I like the oversized sets because it's in the world of cats here, so that's interesting. And they actually did release a before the trailer came out, a little behind the scenes featurette.
Mm,
And that's actually what got me intrigued with the movie because the way they were talking about it, and keep in mind they didn't show any of like the CGI cats or anything. It just showed the actors practicing.
mm,
And yeah, the way they were like talking about it's like, yeah, we're taking all these different elements and combinations of dancing styles from ballet to hip hop dancing to classical dance. We're gonna mix it into this movie. It's like, okay, that's a smart idea here. But then you get this trailer here, and it's like, oh yeah, but you guys left out that the ugliest part of your movie, which is the biggest part, is that you have these really weird looking cats here. It
Mm.
just nothing really. It doesn't really. It's not appealing at all, to say the least. And I'm not interested in seeing it. But we were talking about this earlier. I think this movie is gonna be a runaway hit for the holiday season. Like that's my bet for the year. And
Mm.
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I have a hunch.
Yeah, I don't know because this comes out the same weekend as Star Wars.
Hmm.
So everyone's gonna flock to that rather than Cats. And if it's running away hit, I'll eat my words. Kids are gonna be terrified by the cats. I'm terrified by the cats.
Yeah.
I'm just like I'm going to my therapist, and they're like, the CGI cats aren't real. They can't hurt you. Like, no, they can, and they will.
Yeah, not. I mean, the whole thing, at least, well, I think it's gonna be a hit, or not even a hit. I think it's just gonna do well. It works as counter programming against Star Wars, and then
Mm.
musicals. There's always very leggy, as you can see with like Rocket Man and Aladdin, and even The Greatest Showman, which also came out next to Jumanji and Last Jedi. So I think it's gonna be another one of those situations where everybody dogs on it on the internet at first, but then the general audience goes and sees it and they love it, and now we have to wait for Cats 2 in 2021.
Oh boy. Yeah, if y'all make Cats 2 happen, I would have like lost faith in like a millionth time. I've already lost faith like many things, movie related, political related, but like I would have lost faith again.
Meow.
No, bad cat. Listen, I already hated cats before. Now I hate cats even more. Like this gave me a whole new reason to hate cats. I'm a dog person, and I like if they ever make a dog musical like this, like, I'm gonna throw my dog out the house.
Well, that's animal abuse there, Alex.
Yeah, I love my dog, but like I just won't trust it if they ever do that.
Yeah, and, I mean, I guess this is gonna be a movie that Peter flocks to as their poster boy here.
Yeah, but if Peter flocks to a movie, then that's not a good sign.
I don't know. It looks weird, but
Yeah,
I want to see what happens with
this is something that scares away the furries.
it.
Um, so that being said, let's jump into what we saw this week. I'll start off. I've been like I said, I've been reading a lot more. I've been trying to get into books more. Um, and so with Game of Thrones ending, I decided to like see how different the books were, and so I read the first book in A Song of Ice and Fire, of Game of Thrones, and I'd say the first season is like very faithful to the book. The only thing you're gonna get with books versus like TV and film adaptations is that like the TV and films, like I don't want to say surface level, but like, that's the best word I can think of. Like it's like a very surface level adaptation of the story, whereas the books are always like a deeper dive into like the world and the characters and what the characters are thinking at certain moments.
Right.
Um, and like a lot of the differences that are in the TV show,
Hmm.
um, are just like a lot of like really minor differences. Um, and like a lot of the changes that they do make, I think are really good. There's like a couple I do disagree with after reading the book. But overall, it is very faithful. And I hear like after the first book is like really where they get into like different, like cutting out characters, like cutting out the whole storylines and stuff. So I'm interested in reading the rest.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, and that's my very short review on the book.
So let me ask you then. I don't think you mentioned. So did you enjoy season one of Game of Thrones more or the book?
Um, it's really interesting because like they do very different things. Like season one, it like dives deeper into like certain characters that the book doesn't dive deep into. Like
Mm.
we get to see more of like Jamie and Cersei's perspective in the show than we do in the book because like they're not POV characters in the book.
Okay.
So we get to see more of them, which I really liked. Like there's just like this whole conversation between like Robert and Cersei about like how they're really unhappy with their marriage, but like they need it. And there's like hold the kingdom together.
Yeah.
That I thought was like really great in the show. That's like not in the book at all because like neither of them are POV characters.
Mm.
But at the same time, like you get to like really delve deep into the minds of like Eddard and Caitlin and John. Um, and I really found that really interesting. And like, you have like a whole new perspective on things. Like one of the things I found really interesting is like how George R. R. Martin like really foreshadows John's parents being Lyanna and Rhaegar Targaryen.
Right.
Because Eddard is like constantly having flashbacks. Lyanna saying, "Promise me, promise me, promise me." And there's
Mm-hmm.
even one part where Eddard is like he's investigating Robert's children,
Right.
his bastard kids, and he thinks, "Oh, would Rhaegar do this?" It's interesting to like see to think that Eddard would think about Rhaegar in a moment like this.
Mm.
But now that like that Rhaegar and Lyanna were actually like, madly in love, I guess like Eddard is like more forgiving to Rhaegar, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's really interesting that like he'll think back on this. Like he's like kind of glad that Lyanna never got with Robert, and like he's glad that she got with Rhaegar, even though it started a whole war and her death and stuff.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it was just really interesting. I don't know which I could say is better, really.
Okay, that's fair. Actually, I do have the first book, Game of Thrones, in my car. I've had it for like months now. I've never started it. Always
Mhm,
got caught up in another book, but
mhm.
it's actually, I mean, actually, it's the, the rapper Logic. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah, he wrote a book, Supermarket, and for amateur, it's okay, but I'm about to put it down and start Game of Thrones now.
yeah, I recommend it. Like there are, like I said, a lot of the differences are minor, but it does really delve into like the characters' mindsets and like the world a lot more. And I thought it was really cool.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will say one of the big differences from the TV show and the book that like I feel like the TV show should have done this is Khal Drogo and Danny's relationship, like especially
Mm-hmm.
like in the beginning after the wedding,
Mm-hmm.
because it gets very rapey, which is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Whereas in the show, not in the show, in the book, it's a lot less rapey. Um, it's still a little uncomfortable, but like not. It doesn't go too far. Whereas I feel
Okay.
like in that first episode, the TV show definitely went a bit too far.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it's still uncomfortable too, because like Danny's 13 in the book, because like they're like he's like sticking very close to like medieval times and like their social life,
Mm-hmm.
because he got everything done early, because like everybody thought you'd die at 40 or 50.
Right. Life
Yeah.
expectancy was way shorter.
Oh yeah. And it's, as soon as you pop out kids, then you got to start popping out kids.
Okay. Sick, but I
Yeah,
guess we excuse it. That's just the way it was back then.
yeah. Now I'm glad the show aged everything. I mean, legally they have to, um,
Yeah.
but it makes things a lot less uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Yeah.
already uncomfortable watching Sansa almost getting raped, and then I wish she was like 15 or 16 at that point.
Mhm.
I can't imagine, yeah, 13-year-old Danny. Oof.
Yeah, it's not fun. Um, but yeah. So Jalen, what have you seen this week?
Oh yeah, so yeah, I went to go see the Art of Self-Defense yesterday. it's actually a movie that I wanted to see last week where it came out, but it wasn't playing anywhere convenient for me.
Mm,
Uh, so yeah, I went to see it, and yeah, absolutely, I love the movie. What you have here essentially is a dark comedy. It follows this dude named Casey, who's played by Jesse Eisenberg, and yeah, he's just this timid and socially awkward person, and he's kind of been pushed around his whole life. So then one night he's walking home and he gets jumped by this gang, and that's when he decides he wants to learn how to defend himself. So he stumbles onto this karate class, which is taught by this sensei who's this very stern man named well, actually he's just named Sensei, but it's played by the actor. Let me see, Alessandro Nivola.
mhm.
And so, yeah, right off the bat, I really like the script a lot. I think it's well written with a great story, and I enjoyed the dialogue a lot too. Yeah, pretty much it's another comedy that kind of uses the whole dry humor, deadpan type thing, kind of monotone. Um, but it kind of differs for me with earlier this summer we reviewed Dead Don't Die, and I didn't like the movie at all.
Mhm.
Uh, I felt like it was just being deadpan just because. This one, I think it actually works in favor of the story. Uh, besides the fact that it actually had jokes that made me laugh, but I felt like the dry delivery of the lines it complements or it's like an oxymoron against the absurdity that happens in this story. And you have Jesse Eisenberg kid. He's not my favorite person, just the way he reacts in real life. But as an actor, he always impresses me. And yeah, the way he delivers his line in like this timid and mild manner tone, yeah, it got a lot of laughs out of me. And then there's a portion of the movie where he learns to become more aggressive and more confident in himself. And so he's just going around, saying very absurd things to people, but he's keeping that same delivery and the way he talks fast. I honestly, it was hilarious. The other standout performance I would say is the sensei. I guess he kind of acts like the antithesis against Casey, where he is more sure of himself and he's very hyper masculine. Uh, and early on in the movie, he takes a liking to Casey, but as it goes on, you really get to see just that relationship unfold. And I actually kind of liked it because Casey, he's a very sympathetic character, and you really just want him to get a win by the end of the movie. It's like, listen, man, everybody pushes you around here. Like, just stand up for yourself at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, it goes on even more, and then there's something that seems off about the sensei as it goes on, and it's something I'm not going to spoil it here, of course, but there's more that the trailers are leading you on to believe, which I'll get into that in a second. Um, and yeah, also the movie actually has a pretty strong message about toxic masculinity. Also, um, just the whole idea of like how dangerous it can be when it clouds your judgment and how it allows people to set their standards to unreasonable heights. Because throughout the whole movie, Casey, he's led to believe that, oh, the only way to stand up for yourself, you have to be a man. You have to be more aggressive, more confrontational. Even, I mean, it was a funny joke where he's like, oh, I want to learn French. He's like, no, you need to learn German. That's a more manly language. It's like, okay, that's weird. But you look at it, the whole of a movie, it's like, oh, it's a satire. It's making fun of these type of people here, which
Mm-hmm.
it's a message I can definitely agree with. Just the way what's going on in the world right now, in the political climate, how toxic everyone is. So I think this movie really works from that portion. And then yeah, there's just little things about it, like the movie. It's a period piece that's set in the '90s, but there's no real attention drawn to it. It's just like in the background. And then the camera work, I think, is fantastic too. It's like a lot of long takes that it reveals parts of the story without needing dialogue or any heavy-handed reactions. But saying that, there's also some things that didn't really work for me. I felt like some of the characters, they weren't developed all that well compared to Casey and Sensei. Uh, like there's this one character, she's the only female in the gym, but she has her story, which is pretty good. But by the time it wraps up, it's like I didn't really feel anything for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, speaking to the like, there's a sinister aspect that goes on to this movie, and again, no spoilers, but there's this thing that's revealed, and it's a satisfying reveal, but then they keep adding more on top of that to make it even more sinister, and it's like it felt unnecessary, and actually, it's kind of pushing kind of goofy now. I kind of wish they didn't do that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, overall, I still by the end of it, I love the movie. Uh, and just the fact that it's an original movie too. I mean, we were talking about this whole summer that it's a lot of bland franchises and sequels and reboots that's been coming out and remakes. It's just it feels nice to sit in a theater and watch something that somebody actually thought of, typed up on the computer, and was able to film it and produce it. So I definitely give it a lot of props for that. Uh, Overall, yeah, I had a great time with this movie. Thought it was funny, had a great message, great story, and for the most part, I like the characters. So, Art of Self Defense, I definitely recommend for people to see it as soon as they can.
Awesome. I'm seeing it tomorrow before I fly out. By the way, I'm going on vacation this weekend, so we won't have a podcast, but we will have a special video uploaded.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm gonna see it tomorrow before I fly out. Because I'm that much of a movie addict. I had to like see things before I leave. Um, I'm so excited. Ever since I saw the trailer, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be something great. And I've heard nothing but good things. I'm really glad that you gave it a positive review because I'm more excited for it now.
Nice.
Um, it just looks so funny, and it seems like it is gonna have like a really powerful message, and I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah. So speaking of toxic masculinity, this is actually a good transition here. Not a lame one. Let's talk about the Sopranos. That's definitely something that touches on like the masculinity like the mafia and like what's expected of men and whatnot. So yeah, I've seen the first season of Sopranos before. And I got like somewhat into the second season, and then I just like stopped watching after a while. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I get busy with school, so I do that a lot. I'll start watching a show and then like, I just drop it because I get like so overwhelmed. But it's summertime, I can binge watch now. Um, so I've been like rewatching the first season of Sopranos, and it's just so good.
Yeah.
What separates this from a lot of like other mafia stories like The Godfather or Goodfellas is that it's a lot more grounded in those movies. It's more about like the personal life of Tony Soprano and like his family life, how he deals with like his mother, his kids, his wife,
Mm-hmm.
his uncle, and then like he's also like dealing with like this like severe depression. And like one of the best scenes, like it's in the very first episode, he's talking about like Gary Cooper. He's like, "Oh, whatever happens to strong and silent type." Like that was like
Yeah.
a real man. And then like nobody ever knew if you got him to like talk about his feelings, he would never shut up.
Mm.
And that's just like the toxic mindset that's like set onto men, where it's like, men should learn how to be, like, shut up, don't talk about your emotions. That's a feminine thing. You don't do that. And that's just like a running theme throughout the season so far,
Right.
where it's like a real man does this, a real man does that, and because of that, like these men are dealing with like depression and just like really unhealthy things, like really unhealthy mental health.
Right.
Like even like Tony Soprano, like going to therapists, like everybody looks down on that because like, oh, you should, well, a because like they're scared he's like ratting to like the FBI or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But also just like it's not something you do as a man. Like you don't talk about your feelings.
Right.
Which is like not a good mindset at all. Like everyone, despite their gender, should be able to talk about their feelings and how they're feeling. Otherwise, it's going to lead to like some like really bad stuff.
Of course.
And then just like going away from like Tony Soprano, you also have like his family, his daughter Meadow, his son Junior. Is his son a junior or is it? I forgot what his name is.
I actually
Um,
never watched this show, so
okay,
you're on your own
uh,
for that one.
but yeah, he has a son, um, and then his wife Camilla. And it's just like really interesting family dynamic because you never really see that in these mafia movies.
Mm.
Because like the whole thing about like the mafia and like in the movies stuff, it's like it's all a family business, it's all passed down.
Right.
But like even like in like Godfather, it's like really touches on like the family aspect.
Mm.
But this like takes like kind of like the dysfunctional family from like a sitcom and puts it in like this more serious drama about the mafia. And so you get some like really interesting episodes where like these kids have to confront the fact that the father's a mobster and like he doesn't do good things.
Mm.
And like kids are smarter than you think. So like they try their best to hide it from them, like they figure it out because like the internet and like their friends and stuff. Um, and I'm really enjoying the season. If you want like a typical Goodfellas, lots of shooting and cursing and stuff. This isn't really for you. I mean, there's plenty of cursing and there's some shooting. But it's not something that glorifies the mob life. This is more like a grounded look at it, and it's especially about like the mob life after the heyday of like the '70s and stuff, where like the mafia was like really big.
Right.
This is like when mafia was like starting to like they're starting to get smaller. FBI is cracking down on them more. And so it's just a really interesting look at like the mafia, on masculinity, on like the family life, and I'm really enjoying the show. Second time rewatching the first season, and then I still haven't seen the rest of the show. So I'm looking forward to like watching the entire series.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other thing too is like, sorry to cut you off, but
Mhm.
this is a show that paved the way for like so many other great shows to come. The Wire, Game of
Right.
Thrones, Breaking Bad. And, like
Yeah.
you can really see its influence on other genres.
Yeah. That's what I was about to ask too. It's like I know Sopranos is held into such high esteem, and it's like a lot of shows actually try to mimic what made that show so special. Me, I have still yet to see it, but I also know they're making the prequel movie uh, that's supposed to be coming out soon. So
Mm.
it's really interesting.
Oh yeah. I wonder how that's gonna go because like that takes place during like the seven. I think it takes place during the '70s. Like that's like during the heyday of the mafia. I don't know if
Right.
it's gonna go more Goodfellas route or if it's like really gonna be more of a deconstruction like The Sopranos.
Right.
So yeah, I'm excited for the movie. And yeah, this has been the Film School Snobs podcast. Thank you for listening. So like I said, there won't be a podcast this next weekend since I'll be on vacation. I'll be in Europe, just like Spider-Man. Maybe I am Spider-Man.
Alex Far From Home.
Yes, the Film School Snobs, far from home. We try to review movies, but they're all dubbed in Italian and French and stuff, and we have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, right. It's like, ooh, this looks nice.
Yeah. um. So yeah. I'm Alexander Zapeta. You can follow me on Twitter, Jedi Master Alex, and Letterboxd. Just look up Alexander Zapeta, Zepeda. Jalen, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on Letterbox or Reddit at JMike, and it is actually 127. I just looked it up. So
Awesome. Yeah. You can follow us on Instagram, the Film School Snobs, and email us at thefilmschoolsnobs@gmail.com if you have any comments or questions. Let us know. Have you seen The Lion King? Have you seen any of the Comic Con trailers? Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below, or email us, like I said. And follow us on social media. We will be talking about, whatever comes out from Marvel tonight. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.
later.